annual family reunion at my parents' lakeside home. Everyone gathered on the deck for the cousin photo. My mother handed out matching shirts to all 7 grandchildren. Each shirt had a cute nickname: the adventurer, the artist, the athlete, the scholar, the charmer, the comedian. Then my daughter Emma, 7 years old, received hers. Bold black letters. The mistake. Emma did not understand yet. She was smiling. My father chuckled. Better she hears it now. Nobody objected. My sister smirked. My brother looked away. I did not shout. I pulled out my phone and did something that would change everything. My hands felt steady, even though my heart was pounding so hard, I thought everyone could hear it. I knelt down next to Emma and helped her pull the shirt over her pink tank top. The fabric settled against her small frame. Those awful words stretched across her chest. She looked down at it, tracing the letters with her finger. What does mine say, Mommy? The mistake, honey. It means you are special. She beamed at me, trusting, innocent. 7 years old, and still believing that the adults in her life would never hurt her on purpose. I wanted to keep that innocence for as long as I could, even though I knew what was coming. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. Emma posing with her cousins, all of them lined up by age. Her cousin Jacob, in his adventurer shirt, looking proud. Her cousin Sophie, in the artist shirt, paint stains already on her hands from the craft table. Emma stood at the end, the mistake in bold letters, grinning because she thought she was part of something fun. My mother noticed me taking photos and smiled approvingly. Get one with your father, she said. My father, Harold, walked over and put his arm around Emma. He was 60, too, still strong from years of running his hardware store, with silver hair and deep laugh lines around his eyes. Those lines had always made him look kind. Today they looked cruel. Smile, Emma, I said, and took 3 photos of them together. His grin was wide and satisfied. Hers was pure joy. My sister Rachel appeared next to me. She was 2 years older than me, 35, married to Derek, who worked in real estate. They had 2 kids, both with nice normal shirt labels. She glanced at Emma, and then at me. Oh, come on, Tiff, it is just a joke. You have always been too sensitive. My brother Austin joined us, beer in hand. He was 29, worked at a bank, still living off the golden child status he had enjoyed his whole life. Yeah, lighten up. Emma does not even get it. My mother Patricia came over, her perfect blonde bob not moving in the breeze, her tennis bracelet catching the sunlight. She had organized this whole reunion, planned it for months. The shirts had been her idea. Do not make a scene, Tiffany. It is family fun. I said nothing. I took more pictures. I photographed every family member's face. Rachel's smirk. Austin's dismissive shrug. My mother's perfectly applied lipstick as she pressed her lips together in annoyance at my sensitivity. My father's arm still around Emma, proprietary and proud. I got a group shot. All the adults, all the kids, everyone wearing their shirts. Emma in the center, the mistake displayed for the camera, for posterity, for evidence. After an hour of forced family activities, games on the lawn, hot dogs on the grill, I told Emma we needed to pack up. She was playing with Sophie and Jacob, running through the sprinkler, and she did not want to leave. But Mommy, we are having fun. I know, baby. But Mommy has work stuff tomorrow. We need to get home and get you in bed. She pouted but obeyed. She always did. I helped her out of the wet shirt and into her regular clothes, then carefully folded the mistake shirt and placed it in my bag. My mother watched me from the porch. You are really leaving? It is only 7 o'clock. Work stuff, I repeated. She shook her head, disappointed but not surprised. I had always been the one who left early, who did not quite fit, who made things awkward by being sensitive or difficult, or whatever word they used that year. I buckled Emma into her car seat. We drove away from the lakeside house, away from the hanging lights and the laughter, and the family I had tried so hard to be part of for 33 years. Emma fell asleep before we hit the highway, exhausted from swimming and running. I looked at her in the rearview mirror. Her face peaceful, her hair still damp, her cheeks pink from the Sunday I thought about that shirt. The mistake. Better she hears it now. My hands started shaking on the steering wheel. I pulled over at a gas station, parked under a harsh fluorescent light, and cried for 10 minutes while Emma slept. Then I dried my face, pulled out my phone, and started typing. I wrote about Emma. About how I got pregnant at 19, how her father left when I told him, how I raised her alone. About how my family had resented her existence from the beginning. The grandchild born out of wedlock, the one who proved their daughter was a screw, up. The visible reminder of my failure. I wrote about 7 years of small cruelties. How Emma's birthday presents were always noticeably cheaper than her cousins. How she was left out of family photos sometimes because she was napping or fussy, even though the other kids were included no matter what. How my mother introduced the other grandchildren with pride and Emma with a tight smile. I wrote about the T-shirt. About my father's words. About nobody objecting. I uploaded all the photos. Emma in the shirt. My father with his arm around her, grinning. The group shot. Close, ups of the letters. I tagged my parents. I tagged Rachel and Austin. I tagged extended family members. I wrote one final line. This is how my family treats my daughter. This is what they think of her. I will not be silent anymore. My finger hovered over the post button for a long time. Emma shifted in her car seat, making a small, sleepy sound. I looked at her in the mirror again. She was the mistake to them. She would always be the mistake to them. Unless I did something. I scheduled the post to go live the next morning at 8 a.m. Then I drove us home to our small apartment, carried Emma inside, and tucked her into bed. She did not wake up. I sat on my couch in the dark and waited for morning. The post went live while I was at work. I had a job as a medical billing specialist at a small clinic, making $32,000 a year. It was boring work, processing insurance claims and following up on unpaid bills, but it was stable, and I was good at it. I sat in my cubicle that morning and watched my phone. At 8:03 a.m., the first share happened. A friend from high school, then another. By 8:30, I had 200 shares. By 9, 1,000. My phone kept buzzing, notifications piling up faster than I could read them. I am so sorry this happened to your daughter. Your family should be ashamed. That poor baby. You are so brave for speaking out. This is child abuse. Emotional abuse is real. My supervisor, Janet, stopped by my cubicle. Tiffany, your phone is going crazy. Everything okay? I turned it face down. Yes. Sorry. Just some family stuff. By noon, the post had 50,000 shares. Local news outlets were picking it up. Someone had sent it to a parenting blog that had 2 million followers. That blog shared it with the caption, "This is heartbreaking. How could a family do this to a child?" By the time I left work at 5 p.m., the post had 200,000 shares. National news sites were running stories. Family humiliates 7-year, old with cruelty, shirt. Mother exposes toxic family dynamics. The mistake that went viral. My phone was ringing constantly. I did not recognize most of the numbers. I picked up Emma from after school care and took her home. She chattered about her day, about how she learned a new song in music class, about how her friend Madison shared her crackers at snack time. She had no idea that millions of people were looking at her photo, talking about her, defending her. That night, I sat on the couch and read comments. Thousands and thousands of comments. Most of them were supportive. People were outraged on Emma's behalf. They called my family narcissists, abusers, monsters. They said I was a hero for protecting my daughter. They said they had similar family stories and wished they had been brave enough to speak out. But there were other comments too. Why did you post your daughter's photo online? You are exploiting her for attention. This could have been handled privately. You are just as bad as your family, using your kid for internet fame. I felt a twinge of doubt, but I pushed it away. The world was seeing what my family had done. They could not deny it anymore. They could not make me feel crazy for being hurt. My phone rang. My father. I let it go to voicemail. He called again and again. Finally, I listened to the message. Tiffany, what have you done? My store is getting phone calls. People are leaving terrible reviews online. Take that post down right now. This is family business, not the whole world's business. Rachel sent a text. Thanks a lot. Derek is getting angry calls from clients. My kids are asking why people are saying mean things about us. You have gone too far. Austin called. I answered. Tiff, you need to take the post down. The bank called me into HR. They are concerned about my judgment because of the family situation. This is affecting my career. Good, I said, and hung up. I felt powerful. For the first time in my life, I had made them feel what I felt. Small, ashamed, exposed. By the second day, the story was everywhere. Morning talk shows discussed it. Parenting experts weighed in. A psychologist on television talked about the long-term effects of family scapegoating. The video had been watched millions of times. And then things started to get worse. Someone found my parents' home address and posted it online. By that evening, people were showing up at their house. Not many, but enough. Someone painted nasty words on their garage door. Someone left a bag of dog waste on their porch. My father's hardware store, Carter's Hardware, was bombed. Hundreds of one-star reviews from people who had never shopped there. Terrible family. Terrible people. Child abusers. Within 2 days, his rating dropped from 4.7 stars to 1.3. Rachel called me crying. My kids are being bullied at school. Other kids are calling them names, saying their family is mean. Sophie came home crying today. Is this what you wanted? I had not wanted that. I had not thought about Rachel's kids. But I also remembered Sophie's shirt, the artist. While Emma got the mistake, the media showed up at my parents' house. A local news crew caught my mother coming home from the grocery store. Mrs. Carter, what do you have to say about the shirt incident? My mother looked directly at the camera, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. It was a misunderstanding. We love Emma. We love all our grandchildren. Tiffany has blown this completely out of proportion. That clip went viral too. People analyzed her body language. She is lying. Look at her eyes. She is only sorry she got caught. But some people started to turn. A few articles appeared questioning my motives. Did this mother go too far? The ethics of public shaming. One family's private pain becomes internet fodder. The comments shifted slightly. She could have handled this privately. Family therapy exists. Now those kids are suffering because their aunt wanted revenge. Austin was put on administrative leave from his bank. The bank released a statement saying they needed to review the situation before determining his future with the company. He called me screaming. I am going to lose my job because of you. Because of a stupid shirt. Was it worth it, Tiffany? Was destroying the whole family worth it? I thought about Emma. About 7 years of being less than. About the mistake. Yes, I said. It was worth it. But lying in bed that night, I was not so sure. I had wanted them to understand. I had wanted an apology. I had wanted them to see Emma the way I saw her. Instead, I had created a wildfire I could not control. Emma asked me at breakfast why kids at school were asking about her mean grandparents. I told her some people had seen a photo and misunderstood. She accepted that explanation because she was 7 and trusted me. But I could see it in her eyes. Confusion. The beginnings of anxiety. She had been happy at the reunion. She had not understood the shirt. Now, because of me, she was starting to understand that something was wrong. I wondered if I had made a terrible mistake. 2 weeks after the post went viral, a thick envelope arrived at my apartment. I opened it standing in my doorway, Emma watching cartoons inside. Legal notice. The firm of Hartman and Associates, representing Harold Carter, Patricia Carter, Rachel Lawson, and Austin Carter. I was being sued for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and damages to business reputation. They were seeking $300,000. My hands went numb. $300,000. I made $32,000 a year. I had $1,700 in my savings account. I was living paycheck to paycheck, barely affording rent and Emma's after-school care. I called every legal aid clinic in the area. They were overwhelmed, had waiting lists months long. I finally found an attorney named Brandon Wells, who agreed to meet with me for $200, money I did not have but put on my credit card anyway. Brandon was young, maybe 30, with an office that was really just a converted storage room in a strip mall. He read through the lawsuit papers while I sat across from him, my leg bouncing with anxiety. "Okay," he said finally. "Here is the situation. Truth is generally a defense against defamation. Everything you posted was true, right?" "Yes. I have the photos. I have witnesses." "Good. But that does not mean they cannot make your life miserable with this lawsuit. Even if you win, legal fees could bankrupt you. And they know that. This is a pressure tactic. They want you to take the post down and publicly apologize." "I am not apologizing." Brandon leaned back in his chair. "I respect that, but you need to understand what you are facing. This law firm, Hartman and Associates, they are expensive. Your family has resources. They are going to drag this out, file motion after motion, make you spend money you do not have. Eventually, they will try to force a settlement where you admit you were wrong. I cannot afford to fight this. I know. Which is why most people in your situation would take the post down and make it go away. But if you do that, they win. They get to rewrite history. I thought about Emma, about the mistake. I am not taking it down. Then this is going to get ugly." 3 days later, another envelope arrived. This one was worse. Petition for emergency grandparents' rights and custody evaluation. My parents, along with Rachel and Austin, were arguing that I was mentally unstable and that Emma would be better off in their care or with Rachel's family. Their evidence. I had recklessly exposed Emma to public scrutiny and potential danger by posting identifiable photos online. I had prioritized revenge over Emma's well-being. I had a history of poor judgment, as evidenced by getting pregnant at 19 with a man who abandoned us. I was unemployed, or soon to be unemployed, due to my own actions, creating a hostile work environment. That last part was not true yet, but it would be. I was endangering Emma's emotional and psychological health by involving her in an adult conflict. I was alienating her from her extended family. I needed a mental health evaluation. Emma needed to be removed from my care while the evaluation was conducted. The temporary hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks away. I could not breathe. I sat on my bathroom floor and sobbed until I threw up. They were trying to take Emma. They were actually trying to take my daughter. Brandon explained it to me over the phone the next day. Grandparents' rights are complicated. In our state, they can petition for visitation if they can prove it is in the child's best interest. Custody is harder, but they are arguing emergency circumstances based on your mental state and judgment. I am not mentally unstable. I know. But they are going to paint a picture. Young single mother, history of bad decisions, recent erratic behavior, exposed her child to internet mob, put child in danger. They will make you look unfit. Child Protective Services showed up at my door a week later. A caseworker named Melanie Sutton, mid-40s with tired eyes and a clipboard. "Miss Carter, I am here to do a home evaluation. May I come in?" My apartment was small but clean. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, in a complex that had seen better days but was safe and affordable. Emma's room had a bed, a dresser, toys organized in bins. The kitchen had food in the fridge. Everything was fine. Melanie walked through, taking notes. She asked to speak to Emma alone. I had to stand in the hallway while she interviewed my daughter in her own room. When she came out, her expression was neutral. "Emma seems healthy and happy. Your home is adequate. But I do have concerns about the situation you have created by posting online. You understand that your actions have consequences for your daughter?" I was protecting her. By exposing her to millions of strangers? By making her the center of a media firestorm? By showing the world what my family did to her? Melanie made a note on her clipboard. "I will be filing my report with the court. I would strongly suggest you consider taking the post down. It is not helping your case." After she left, I sat with Emma on the couch. She was watching a movie about talking animals, completely oblivious to the fact that the state was evaluating whether I was fit to be her mother. I took the post down that night. Brandon had advised it. It had already been screenshot and shared 1,000,000 times, so removing it would not make it disappear, but it might show the court I was willing to be reasonable. I posted an apology the next day, carefully worded by Brandon. I regret any harm caused to my family members by my post. I was hurt and acted impulsively. I am committed to resolving our family issues privately and respectfully. I ask for privacy as we work through this difficult time. It felt like swallowing poison. Every word was a lie. But if it kept Emma with me, I would lie 1,000 times. Rachel responded via text the next day. Too little, too late. You need to learn there are consequences. Maybe losing Emma for a while will teach you. My mother called. We are not dropping the custody petition. You have proven you cannot be trusted. Emma deserves better than you. They were not going to stop. The lawsuit, the custody battle, the systematic destruction of my life. They were going to take everything from me, and they were going to use the legal system to do it. The hearing was in 2 weeks. I had no money for a lawyer, no support system, no way to fight back. I lay in bed that night and wondered if I should just give up. Let them have her. At least she would have a nice house, good schools, stability. At least she would not have a mother who was barely keeping it together, who had made everything so much worse by trying to make it better. But then I remembered the shirt, the mistake, and my father's voice. Better she hears it now. If I gave up, she would hear it forever. She would believe it. She would grow up thinking she was the problem. I could not let that happen. Even if fighting meant losing everything. The court date was 3 weeks away, and in that time, my life systematically fell apart. My mother started attending my church. I had been going to Riverside Community Church for 4 years, ever since Emma was 3. It was a small congregation, about 150 people, and they knew me. They knew Emma. We had friends there. Patricia had never been religious. She had not stepped foot in a church in decades except for weddings and funerals. But suddenly, there she was in the third pew, perfectly dressed, with my father beside her. After service, I watched her work the room. She hugged the pastor, introduced herself to the deacons, brought homemade cookies for the coffee hour. She was charming and gracious, and played the role of wounded grandmother perfectly. I overheard her talking to Helen, Emma's Sunday school teacher. It has just been so hard, Patricia said, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Tiffany will not let us see Emma anymore. We made a small mistake, and she has blown it so out of proportion. We miss our granddaughter terribly. Helen glanced at me across the room. I saw the doubt in her eyes. The next Sunday, Patricia was there again. And the Sunday after that, each time, more people stopped talking to me. More people looked at me with suspicion instead of sympathy. Helen pulled me aside after the 4th week. Tiffany, I am concerned. Your mother seems really hurt. She says you are keeping Emma from the family. Is that true? They made a shirt calling my daughter the mistake. Your mother says that was taken out of context. She says it was a poor attempt at humor, and she apologized immediately. She did not apologize. She laughed. But Helen's expression said she did not believe me. Your mother seems like such a sweet woman. Maybe you could all sit down and talk this through? For Emma's sake? I stopped going to church. Emma asked why, and I told her we were trying out some new Sunday morning routines. She missed her friends there. I missed the community. But I could not sit in that building and watch my mother perform her victim routine. Then I lost my job. Dr. Richard Grayson called me into his office on a Thursday afternoon. He was the owner of the clinic where I worked, a kind man in his 60s who had always been fair to me. Tiffany, this is difficult. You are a good employee. Your work is excellent. But the situation with your family has become complicated. What does my family have to do with my job? The board has received some concerns. Patients have been asking questions. There is worry about our reputation. What concerns? From who? He would not tell me, but I knew. Austin worked at First National Bank. Austin knew people. Austin had connections to the board members of the medical practice. One phone call would have been all it took. We are going to have to let you go. We will call it downsizing. You will receive 2 weeks severance. I am being fired because of my family. Dr. Grayson looked uncomfortable. I am sorry, Tiffany. I really am. I cleaned out my desk that afternoon. 2 weeks severance was $630 after taxes. I had 3 weeks until the custody hearing. No job meant no income. No income meant I could not support Emma. No support for Emma meant I would lose the custody case. Rachel was destroying me socially at Emma's school. She was not officially part of the PTA, but her friend Monica was, and Monica had a big mouth. Within a week, the story had spread. Tiffany Carter is unstable. She posts things about family members online. She is vindictive. She is trouble. Emma came home from school one day in tears. Mommy, why did Madison's mom say I cannot come to her birthday party? What? Madison invited everyone in the class except me. Her mom said there was not enough room. But Mommy, there is. Madison said there is. Her mom just does not want me there. I held her while she cried, and wanted to burn the whole world down. Emma's teacher, Mrs. Anderson, started treating her differently. She was colder, more critical. Emma's artwork was not displayed on the wall anymore. When Emma raised her hand in class, she was called on less. Small things, subtle things. But Emma noticed. The other mothers avoided me at pickup. They whispered when I walked by. One of them, Jennifer, had been friendly before. We had gotten coffee a few times. Now she pretended not to see me. My apartment manager, Mr. Lopez, knocked on my door one evening. Miss Carter, we have received some complaints about you. What kind of complaints? He shuffled uncomfortably. Noise complaints, disturbances. I have not made any noise. Emma and I are quiet. Nevertheless, we have received multiple complaints. I am going to have to ask you to vacate within 60 days. I am sorry. You are evicting me? I am choosing not to renew your lease. It is within my rights. Someone had gotten to him. I did not know who. Maybe my father, who knew people in property management. Maybe Rachel's husband Derek, who worked in real estate. It did not matter. I had 60 days to find a new place. With no job, no savings, and a custody battle looming, I could not afford to move. I could barely afford to stay. Melanie Sutton, the CPS caseworker, came back for a follow-up visit. She sat in my living room and asked me questions while Emma played in her room. Miss Carter, I understand you have lost your employment? Yes. And you are facing eviction? My lease is not being renewed. So you will be homeless in 2 months? I will find something. And how will you afford housing without income? I will find another job. She wrote notes on her clipboard. The family has expressed concerns about your ability to provide stable housing and financial support for Emma. This does not help your case. The family is the reason I lost my job. The family is the reason I am being evicted. Can you prove that? I could not. It was all whispers and connections and plausible deniability. They had been smart. Melanie closed her folder. Miss Carter, I am going to be honest with you. Right now, your situation does not look good. You are unemployed, about to be homeless, and isolated from your community. The court is going to look at this and question whether Emma is better off with you or with family members who have stable housing, employment, and resources. They humiliated my daughter. They say it was a mistake. They say they apologized. They say you are the one who made it into something bigger than it needed to be. They are lying. She stood up. That is for the court to decide. I will be filing my updated report next week. After she left, I sat on the floor of my apartment and felt the walls closing in. I had fought back. I had exposed them. I had done everything I thought was right. And now I was losing everything. Emma came out of her room holding her favorite stuffed bear. She sat down next to me on the floor. Mommy, are you sad? A little bit, baby. Is it because of Grandma and Grandpa? She was 7 years old. She should not have to worry about adult problems. She should not have to see her mother falling apart. Everything is going to be okay, I told her. We are going to be fine. But I did not believe it. And from the look in her eyes, neither did she. I had 3 weeks until the custody hearing. No job, nowhere to live, no support, no money for a lawyer. My family was systematically destroying every aspect of my life, and they were doing it legally, publicly, with the full support of systems that were supposed to protect people like me. I had tried to protect Emma by speaking out. Instead, I had given them exactly what they needed to take her away from me. That night, I looked up how to voluntarily terminate parental rights. I read about what it would mean. I would sign papers. Emma would go to Rachel, who had a nice house and a husband and stability. She would grow up with her cousins. She would have everything I could not give her. She would also grow up believing she was the mistake. I closed the laptop. I could not do it. I would fight until they tore her from my arms. I would fight even when fighting seemed impossible. But I did not know how I was going to win. On a Tuesday morning, 10 days before the custody hearing, I received a message through social media from a woman named Jennifer Martinez. The message said, "I am a child advocacy attorney. I saw your original post before you took it down. What your family did is unconscionable, and what they are doing now is worse. I would like to help you. Pro bono. Please call me." I stared at the message for a long time, afraid to believe it. Then I called the number she provided. Jennifer Martinez was 40, 3 years old, sharp and confident, with an office in downtown that had real furniture and a view. She invited me to meet her that afternoon. "I have been practicing family law for 18 years, she said. "I have seen a lot of terrible things families do to each other, but your case made me angry. Grandparents using the legal system to punish their daughter for speaking out? That is abuse of the system. Can you really help me? I do not have any money. I do not need your money. I need to make sure Emma stays with her mother where she belongs." For the first time in weeks, I felt something like hope. Jennifer was a machine. She filed counter motions. She requested discovery of my family's finances, text messages, emails. She subpoenaed phone records. She found the order form for the shirts, complete with Patricia's name and signature. "Look at this," she said, showing me the invoice. "Your mother ordered these shirts 3 weeks before the family reunion. This was not a spontaneous joke. This was planned." She found emails between Patricia and Rachel. In them, they discussed how to handle me after the post went viral, the exact wording they would use, the narrative they would push. They talked about the custody petition like it was a chess move. Patricia had written, "We need to show she is unstable. Document everything. Any sign she is struggling financially or emotionally. We will use it in court." Rachel had responded, "Derek has a contact at her employer. He can make some calls." It was all there. The coordinated campaign, the deliberate destruction of my job, my housing, my reputation, everything I had suspected, but could not prove, Jennifer found. She interviewed people who had seen my family's treatment of Emma over the years. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who remembered Patricia making snide comments about Emma being unplanned. Emma's former preschool teacher, who recalled my family never showing up for Emma's performances, but attending all the cousins' events. Jennifer found Aunt Margaret, my mother's younger sister. Margaret had always been kind to Emma. She agreed to testify about the family's pattern of excluding and belittling Emma. "This is a solid case," Jennifer said. "We are going to show that your family's petition is retaliatory, that they have systematically discriminated against Emma, and that their actions after the post prove they are the unstable ones, not you." The custody hearing was in 4 days. I felt like I could breathe for the first time in a month. Jennifer worked day and night. She prepared exhibits, witness lists, opening statements. She coached me on what to say, how to present myself. She made me feel like I had a chance. The night before the hearing, she called me. Her voice was different, strained. "Tiffany, we need to talk." "What is wrong?" "I have to withdraw from your case." My stomach dropped. "What? Why?" "There is a conflict of interest I was not aware of. Gregory Hartman, the attorney representing your family, is my ex-husband." "I do not understand." "So what? We had a very bitter divorce 2 years ago. He has filed an ethics complaint against me for taking your case. He is arguing I took it to harass him, not to help you. If I proceed, I could be disbarred. But the hearing is tomorrow." I know. I am so sorry. I thought I could help you. But if I stay on this case, I will lose my license, and then I cannot help anyone. She gave me the name of another attorney, someone who might take the case on short notice. But we both knew there was not enough time. I hung up the phone and felt the hope drain out of me like water through a sieve. The next morning, I arrived at the courthouse alone. No attorney, no support. Just me in a borrowed suit that did not quite fit, carrying a folder of documents I did not know how to present properly. My family arrived with Gregory Hartman, who looked expensive and prepared. They looked calm and united. Patricia wore pearls. Harold wore a suit. Rachel and Austin looked somber and concerned. The judge, a woman in her 50s named Judge Richardson, looked at me with obvious annoyance. "Miss Carter, you are representing yourself? Again?" "Yes, Your Honor. This is highly irregular. You understand you are at a significant disadvantage without legal counsel?" "I understand." The hearing was a disaster. Gregory Hartman presented my family's case smoothly and effectively. He painted me as vindictive, unstable, unemployed, soon to be homeless. He twisted everything. The viral post became evidence of parental exploitation. My protective instincts became obsessive behavior. My financial struggles became proof I could not care for Emma. My parents testified, looking sad and reasonable. Harold said, "We made a poor judgment call with the shirt. We apologized immediately. Tiffany posted it online before we could make amends. We have tried to reach out to her, to reconcile, but she refuses all contact. It was a lie. They had never apologized." "But who would believe me?" Patricia testified. "I love my granddaughter. I have always loved her. Tiffany has blown this out of proportion because she has always had a victim mentality. We just want to make sure Emma is safe and cared for." Rachel testified. "My sister has always struggled. She got pregnant young, the father left, and she has never really recovered emotionally. Emma is suffering because of Tiffany's instability. I am willing to take Emma in. She would be with her cousins. She would have structure and support." I tried to present Jennifer's evidence, but I did not know how to introduce it properly. The judge kept interrupting. "Miss Carter, this document has not been authenticated. Miss Carter, you cannot testify about what someone else said. Miss Carter, that is hearsay." I felt like I was drowning. Aunt Margaret did not show up. Later, I would find out that my family had threatened her. They would contest their mother's will, cut her out of her inheritance, if she testified against them. Melanie Sutton testified about my housing instability and unemployment. She was fair but factual. The facts were damning. When it was my turn to speak, I tried to explain. About the years of mistreatment. About the shirt. About their coordinated campaign against me. But, without evidence presented properly, without witnesses, it just sounded like excuses. Judge Richardson looked tired. "Miss Carter, I understand you feel wronged by your family, but I have to consider what is best for Emma. Right now, you are unemployed, about to be homeless, and isolated. Your family has resources and stability. I am ordered a full custody evaluation over 90 days. During this time, Emma will remain in your care, but the grandparents will have supervised visitation twice weekly. You are also required to find stable employment and housing within 60 days, or we will revisit custody arrangements. Additionally, you are ordered to attend parenting counseling with your parents." The gavel came down. I stood there, numb. They had won. Not completely, but enough. They had court-ordered access to Emma. They had forced me into counseling with them. And if I did not fix my life in 60 days, they would take Emma. Outside the courthouse, my father approached me. He was smiling. "You should have just apologized, sweetheart. This could have all been avoided. Now you will do things our way. You will bring Emma to our house twice a week. You will smile and play nice in counseling. And if you ever speak publicly about this family again, we will finish what we started." Rachel stood next to him. "Some people never learn. You have always been the problem, Tiffany." I drove home in silence. I had tried to protect Emma. I had exposed the truth. I had fought back with everything I had. And I had lost. The supervised visitation started the following week. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, I had to bring Emma to a sterile visitation center called Safe Harbor. A supervisor would sit in the corner taking notes while my parents and Rachel spent 2 hours with Emma. The first visit was excruciating. Emma was anxious, clinging to me. She had not seen her grandparents in over a month, and she was confused. "Why do we have to be here, Mommy?" "Grown-up reasons, baby. But I will be right outside." Patricia and Harold arrived with gifts. A new doll for Emma, art supplies, a stuffed animal. They were performing for the supervisor, a woman named Linda, who sat in the corner with her clipboard. "We missed you so much, Emma," Patricia cooed, pulling Emma into a hug. Emma looked at me. I nodded. "It is okay, sweetie." I sat in the waiting room while they spent 2 hours with my daughter. When the time was up, Emma came out quiet and subdued. "How was it?" I asked in the car. "Okay, I guess." "Just okay?" "Grandma kept saying you were mad at them for no reason. She said the shirt was just a silly joke and I did not understand because I am little." "Is that true, Mommy? Was it just a joke?" My heart broke. They were rewriting reality right in front of me, and I could not stop it. "It was not a joke, baby. But we do not have to talk about it now." The next day, Linda's report went to the court. It said, "Grandparents appeared appropriate and caring. Child seemed initially hesitant, but warmed up during visit. No concerns observed." The court, ordered counseling sessions with Dr. Sharon Pierce, started the following week. Patricia, Harold, and I sat in her office while she tried to mediate. "Can you each describe the conflict from your perspective?" Harold went first. His version was smooth and practiced. "We made a poor choice with the T-shirt. It was meant to be a family joke, a light-hearted reference to Emma being an unexpected surprise. We apologized to Tiffany immediately, but she posted photos online and tried to destroy us. We have been trying to reconcile ever since, but she refuses. It was a lie. They had never apologized." But Dr. Pierce nodded sympathetically. Patricia went next, dabbing at her eyes. "We love Emma so much. We just want to be part of her life. Tiffany has always had difficulty forgiving people. She holds grudges. We are willing to do anything to repair this relationship, but she has to meet us halfway." My turn. I tried to explain the years of mistreatment, the deliberate cruelty of the shirt, their campaign to destroy me after I spoke out. But without the evidence Jennifer had gathered, without the proper presentation, it sounded like paranoia. Dr. Pierce looked at me with sympathy that felt like pity. "Tiffany, it sounds like there is a lot of hurt here, but it also sounds like your parents are trying to make amends. Sometimes we have to let go of past pain for the sake of our children." She bought their story completely. The second visitation, Emma came home different. She had been drawing pictures in the waiting room beforehand, but when she came out, she handed me a picture she had drawn during the visit. It showed our family. Me on one side, Emma in the middle, my parents on the other side. Everyone was smiling except me. I was frowning. "Why am I sad in the picture?" Emma shrugged. "Grandma said you are always sad and angry. She said that is why we do not see them." They were poisoning her against me, slowly and methodically. By the fourth visit, Emma did not want to leave when the time was up. She wanted to stay longer. Patricia whispered to me as they left, "She will be ours soon. You will have weekend visitation if you are lucky." I was losing Emma, even while she was still living with me. They were getting into her head, making her doubt me, making her believe their version of reality. I had 32 days left to find stable employment and housing. I had applied to 87 jobs. I had gotten 3 interviews, no offers. I was surviving on emergency assistance and food stamps. The apartment eviction was looming. I had nowhere to go. Emma was seeing a school counselor because of behavioral changes. She was withdrawn in class. Her grades were slipping. She had stopped drawing, which had always been her favorite activity. I was failing her. Everything I had done to protect her had made her life worse. I sat on the floor of my apartment one night, after Emma was asleep, and felt completely hollow. Maybe I should just give up. Sign the papers. Let Rachel have her. At least Emma would have stability. A nice house, her cousins, good schools. At least she would not have to watch her mother fall apart. I pulled out my bag, the one I had taken to the reunion, and found the shirt. The mistake. I held it in my hands and cried. Something fell out of the pocket. A small piece of paper. I picked it up. It was a receipt. From a custom shirt shop called Print Perfect. Date: 3 weeks before the reunion. Order placed by Patricia Carter. I looked at it closer. There was an order number. I drove to Print Perfect the next day. It was in a strip mall 40 minutes away. The owner, a man in his 50s named Tom, was behind the counter. "Can you tell me about this order?" I showed him the receipt. He pulled it up on his computer. "Oh yeah, I remember this one. Made me uncomfortable." "Why?" He pulled up the full order, special instructions field. For Emma Carter, age 7. Text should read, "The mistake." Make letters bold and large. "This is for a family joke. She is our little surprise." "Can you print that for me?" "Sure. There is more though." He pulled up an email chain. I questioned the order. I asked if she was sure about the phrasing because it seemed harsh for a kid. He showed me Patricia's response. "It is fine. She will not understand anyway. It is a family inside joke." The timestamp was 3 weeks before the reunion. 3 weeks of planning this humiliation. "This proves it was deliberate," I said. "This proves it was not a mistake." Tom nodded. I felt weird about the whole thing. I almost refused the order. But she paid extra for rush service and said it was harmless. I kept the emails because something felt off. "You want copies?" "Yes, please." He burned a CD with all the correspondence and order details. I sat in my car in the parking lot for an hour, holding the CD. This was evidence. Real evidence. It proved they had planned to humiliate Emma. It proved they lied in court when they said it was a poor judgment call, an accidental mistake. This could change everything. But using it meant going back to court, filing motions myself because I had no lawyer, potentially reigniting the viral attention, risking my family's retaliation, which would be even more vicious. If this failed, they would destroy me completely. They would take Emma. I would lose everything. But if I did nothing, I was already losing everything. I looked at the CD. Then I looked at the picture Emma had drawn, the one where I was frowning and everyone else was smiling. I drove to the courthouse and filed an emergency motion. I included the receipt, the email correspondence from Tom, a timeline of everything my family had done since the original post, and a request for immediate modification of the visitation order. I also filed a formal complaint about their perjury. The hearing was scheduled for 5 days later. I had one shot. If I missed, it was over. The emergency hearing was on a Friday morning. I arrived early, wearing the same borrowed suit, carrying a folder with every piece of evidence I had gathered. My family did not know what I had found. They arrived with Gregory Hartman, confident and calm. Patricia wore another perfect outfit. Harold looked annoyed at being dragged back to court. Judge Richardson entered, looking even more irritated than last time. "Miss Carter, what is this about?" "Your Honor, I have new evidence that proves the petitioners committed perjury in their previous testimony." Gregory Hartman stood up. "Your Honor, this is a desperate attempt by Miss Carter to relitigate a settled matter." "Let me see the evidence," Judge Richardson said. I handed her the file. The receipt. The email chain from Tom. The order form with Patricia's signature and special instructions. Judge Richardson read through it slowly. Her expression changed. She looked up at Patricia. "Mrs. Carter, you testified that the shirt was a poor judgment call, a spontaneous decision that you regretted immediately. Is that correct?" Patricia shifted uncomfortably. "Yes, Your Honor. And yet this evidence shows you ordered the shirt 3 weeks in advance with specific instructions about the wording and size of the letters. The shop owner questioned you about it, and you said it was fine because your granddaughter would not understand." Patricia opened her mouth, closed it. We thought. "You lied under oath," Judge Richardson said. Gregory Hartman jumped in. "Your Honor, my client may have misremembered the timeline." "Counselor, there is a difference between misremembering and deliberate deception. The evidence is clear. This was planned, not spontaneous. She looked at Harold. Mr. Carter, in your testimony, you said you apologized immediately to your daughter about the shirt. Did you? Harold looked uncomfortable. We intended to apologize. That is not what I asked. Did you apologize? Not exactly. But we would have if she had not posted it online. So you lied as well. Judge Richardson turned to Rachel and Austin. And both of you supported this narrative in your testimony? They said nothing. The judge looked at me. Miss Carter, is there more? I took a breath. Yes, Your Honor. I have evidence that the petitioners coordinated a campaign to destroy my employment, housing, and reputation in order to make me appear unfit. I presented the emails Jennifer had found before she had to withdraw. The texts between Patricia and Rachel discussing their strategy. The admission that Derek had contacted my employer. Judge Richardson read through everything. Her jaw tightened. She looked at Gregory Hartman. Counselor, are you aware your clients have engaged in witness tampering? I have a note here that Margaret Carter was scheduled to testify but did not appear. Miss Carter, do you know why? My family threatened her inheritance if she testified against them. They told her they would contest their mother's will and cut her out completely. Do you have proof? I called Aunt Margaret last night. She confirmed it. She is willing to testify now if the court will protect her. Judge Richardson motioned to the bailiff. Get Margaret Carter on the phone. 15 minutes later, Aunt Margaret was on speakerphone, her voice shaking. Yes, Your Honor. Patricia threatened me. She said if I testified about how they treated Emma, they would make sure I got nothing from our mother's estate. I was afraid. Judge Richardson looked at Patricia and Harold like they were something she scraped off her shoe. She ordered everyone to testify again, this time under renewed oath and with the threat of perjury charges hanging over them. Under pressure, everything fell apart. Rachel admitted they had planned to teach me a lesson. Austin admitted he contacted my employer through his banking connections. Harold admitted they coordinated the community isolation campaign, calling people at church and at Emma's school to spread their version of events. Patricia broke down, but it was not remorse. It was anger at being caught. She sobbed that they had done what they thought was right, that I had always been difficult, that Emma would have been better off without me. Then Rachel said something she should not have. We just wanted her to understand there are consequences. And we needed to access the trust fund without her interference. Judge Richardson's head snapped up. What trust fund? Rachel went pale. Gregory Hartman tried to interrupt, but it was too late. The trust fund Emma's grandmother left. For her education. I did not know about any trust fund. Judge Richardson's expression was ice. Explain. Now. It came out in pieces. My grandmother, who died 6 years ago, had left a trust fund for Emma. $120,000 for education and living expenses. Patricia and Harold were the trustees. They had never told me it existed. The judge ordered an immediate financial audit. The courtroom recessed for 2 hours while an emergency forensic accountant went through the records. When we reconvened, the accountant presented her findings. Patricia and Harold had been taking management fees that were not authorized. They had used trust money for their own expenses. Over the 6 years, they had misappropriated $47,000. It was embezzlement from a minor. A crime. Judge Richardson looked at my parents. You have lied to this court. You have engaged in witness tampering. You have committed financial crimes against your granddaughter. And you have conducted a coordinated campaign of harassment and destruction against your daughter for the crime of exposing your cruelty. Patricia tried to speak. Your Honor, please. Be quiet, Judge Richardson shuffled through papers. I am immediately terminating all visitation between Emma and her grandparents, effective immediately. I am referring this case to the district attorney for potential criminal charges regarding the trust fund and perjury. I am awarding full custody to Miss Carter, with no limitations. The family is barred from any contact with Emma or Miss Carter, without prior court permission. She looked at Gregory Hartman. Counselor, I am recommending your clients for investigation. I suggest they retain criminal defense attorneys. Then she looked at me. Miss Carter, I apologize that this court did not see the full picture earlier. You were protecting your daughter. That is not instability. That is courage. The trust fund will be transferred to an independent trustee, and you will have full access to information and decisions regarding its use for Emma's benefit. She banged her gavel. We are adjourned. I stood there, shaking. It was over. I had won. Outside the courthouse, my phone rang. It was Brandon, my first attorney. Tiffany, I heard what happened. Congratulations. Also, I took the liberty of contacting a few journalists. Your story needs to be told correctly this time, but only if you want to. I thought about it. The first time I had gone public, it had spiraled out of control. But this time, I would control the narrative. I gave one interview to a reputable journalist from a major newspaper. The story focused on family abuse, systems that protect abusers, parental alienation tactics, and a mother's fight to protect her daughter. It was not sensational. It was truthful. The article went viral, but in a different way. It sparked conversations about grandparents' rights laws, about how abusers use the legal system, about financial exploitation of children's trust funds. Several states started reviewing their grandparents' rights statutes because of the attention. Within a week, my life started to change. Dr. Grayson called. Tiffany, I would like you to come back to work, with a raise, and a formal apology for how you were treated. The church pastor called to apologize. Several members came to my apartment with casseroles and apologies. Emma's school sent a formal letter acknowledging they had failed to support us and offering additional resources. The apartment manager told me I could stay as long as I wanted, no questions asked. The trust fund audit recovered $73,000. The rest was gone, spent by my parents on home improvements and vacations. But what remained was placed with an independent trustee, and Emma's education was secured. My parents were charged with embezzlement and misuse of trust funds. They pleaded guilty to lesser charges to avoid trial. They paid full restitution, received 2 years of probation, and were ordered to have no contact with Emma or me for at least 5 years. Harold's hardware store closed. His reputation was destroyed. Patricia became a pariah in their community. Rachel and Derek divorced within 6 months. The stress of the scandal, the legal fees, and the exposure of their participation in the campaign destroyed their marriage. Austin moved to another state for a fresh start. I heard he changed his name. None of them have attempted to contact me or Emma since the hearing. The court order remains in place. Emma started seeing a play therapist who specialized in family trauma. We talked about everything. The shirt, the family, what happened, why it happened. One day, she asked me, "Mommy, are Grandma and Grandpa gone forever?" For now, yes. They hurt both of us. Maybe someday when you are grown, you can decide if you want to see them. But right now, I am keeping you safe. I am not a mistake, right, Mommy? I pulled her into my lap. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. You are my purpose, my joy, my everything. You are not a mistake. You are a miracle. 6 months after the hearing, we moved to a better apartment in a nicer neighborhood with a good school district. I got promoted at my new job, working for a medical practice that valued me. Emma thrived. She made new friends. Her grades improved. She started drawing again, filling sketchbooks with bright, happy pictures. The nightmares stopped. The anxiety faded. She laughed more. One Saturday afternoon, we were at the park. Emma was on the swings, pumping her legs and flying high. She called to me, "Mommy, watch me." I watched her, my beautiful daughter, free and happy and loved. I thought about everything we had been through, the pain, the fight, the moments I wanted to give up, and I thought about what I had learned. For 7 years, I let them make me feel small. I let them make Emma feel unwanted. I told myself that staying quiet was keeping the peace. But silence does not keep peace. It protects bullies. When I finally fought back, everything got worse before it got better. So much worse. There were moments I wanted to give up, to let them win. But every time I looked at Emma, I knew I could not. The truth is messy and painful. Standing up for yourself is terrifying. The people who hurt you will fight dirty when you expose them. Systems will fail you. You will doubt yourself 1,000 times. But here's what I learned. You teach people how to treat you. And more importantly, you teach your children how to treat themselves. If I had let my family break me, I would have taught Emma that she was what they said she was, a mistake. That she should accept cruelty from people who claim to love her. Instead, I taught her that she is worth fighting for. That standing up to injustice matters, even when it costs you everything. That her voice matters. That she deserves respect and love without conditions. I also learned that revenge is not the goal. Justice is. I did not want to destroy my family. I wanted them to see Emma as the precious child she is. They could not. So I had to protect her from them. Sometimes, the people who share your blood are the ones you need to protect your child from. That is a hard truth. But it is the truth. Emma asks me sometimes if I am sad that we do not see Grandma and Grandpa anymore. I tell her the truth. I am sad about what could have been, but I am grateful for what is. We have each other. We have peace. We have a future where she knows her worth. That T-shirt said the mistake. But the only mistake was ever letting them make her believe she was anything less than extraordinary. I would do it all again, every painful moment. Because she is worth it. And so am I. Emma ran up to me, breathless and glowing. Did you see how high I went? I saw, baby. You were amazing. She grabbed my hand. Come swing with me, Mommy. We swung together, side by side, laughing in the sunlight. The past was behind us. The future was ours. If you have ever been in a situation where you had to stand up to family members who hurt you, or someone you love, I want to hear from you. How did you find the courage to speak out? What would you have done in my situation? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button. It helps others who might need to hear this message find it. And if you believe in standing up for what is right, even when it is hard, please subscribe to hear more stories of courage, justice, and hope. Share this with someone who needs to know they are not alone in fighting for themselves or their children. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is refuse to stay silent. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for believing that children deserve protection, even from their own families. And thank you for understanding that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones that matter most. I wish you courage in your own battles, whatever they may be. And I wish you peace when those battles are won.